to then spearhead the attack, I might not be as productive.
Effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as because I'm used to being a midfielder. That's what I play. Do you think the formation of play is having an impact on their performance?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think the telling thing after the first game was Harry Kane's comment, because the players and management are obviously well aware of the disquiet, the dissatisfaction at home and with the pundits, particularly, who've really slaughtered them on their podcasts.
Right.
I mean, Gary Lineker. Well, I won't say the words to use, but he said their performance, I think in the first game, whether there's a second one as well, I don't know. But I mean, he used the F word and he used the sh word as well.
Right.
And that seems a bit out of order. And he then blamed the mainstream journalists for
Right.
highlighting what the podcast said, and of course the players didn't like it. So there's
Right.
a lot of stuff. But Harry Kane, after that first or possibly second game, said, "Well, to be honest, when he was asked questions, he said, to be honest, we're not really sure whether we should be, all going forward on the press or when we should come back." And then someone else said, I forget who it was, another player said, that they weren't that they were tactically unaware of what they should be doing. Now,
Right.
if they're not criticisms of Southgate and the coaches, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So the way the formation isn't seemingly set up to the players' benefit. That they don't really quite know what they're expected to do and when they're expected to do it. And I think
Right.
this is the problem. It's like my orchestra conductor. If people don't really know what they're doing when they should suddenly play their instrument or bang the drum, you're going to get chaos. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of what's happened. But maybe, as I said, maybe things will improve. For me, for example, Kane didn't have the best game yesterday, and probably with 20 minutes to go, I would have brought on Ollie Watkins, the Villa
Right.
player, because
Yeah.
he's had a great season. He's a nifty, quick footballer, and it seemed like his sort of game. Like Palmer, I was saying he should have brought Palmer on perhaps a bit earlier, and
Yeah.
also Eze. He could change it with just a few changes.
Yeah.
Because most teams do use their substitutes. They
Yeah.
can have five, I think, over 3 times. You can only do it 3 times. But if they judge it properly, they can be very, very effective, the substitutes, because they got fresh legs, fresh ideas, and they get messages from the management to the players as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the tactics, such as there have been, which the players don't seem to have been unduly aware of,
Yeah.
the tactics are not great. I think there's confusion.
Yeah.
And just as a final thing on that, for me, the players, as I say, are clearly very aware of some stinging criticism. And I find I kind of wobble a bit both ways. Sometimes when I hear them being interviewed, I feel a bit sorry for them and think, well, it's tough. They're doing their best, and previous generations of England players haven't actually done any better than they're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you think, are they really listening? Do they really get what people are frustrated about?
Right.
So it's a very difficult one.
It
But you
is.
think they could use that anger that they must feel for the pundits, particularly, and for criticism they get,
Yeah.
use that anger for the benefit of the team.
Yeah.
Anger can be a great source of motivation in any walk of life. In songwriting, in music, there's all sorts of inspirational things you can use.
Yeah.
But in so many things, in sports, whatever, anger, if you're angry about something, it can produce a real positive effect. And I'd like to think they would use the understandable anger they feel, even though I think a lot of the anger is justified, and
Yeah.
say, we'll show those people back home, we'll show those pundits, let's go and really put on a brilliant performance. And that you'd like to think that could be what will happen. I
Yeah.
hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. You said so. Right. Just lastly, before we finish, Declan Rice, it seemed to be totally out of the game. I,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
agree.
yeah, I don't see him anywhere.
No.
I know he's playing, but I don't see his impact at all.
He's not involved,
He's
and
not
he's
involved.
another excellent footballer. I mean, he
He
plays for
is
Arsenal now, and he's
absolutely, yeah,
brilliant. But he's I don't know whether the word is wasted, but again, I think it's this lack of understanding between the players, a lack of cohesion of the team, which is what a manager is there to foster in all the months and years between these tournaments, so
yeah,
that they all know each other like a club side. I know it's easier to sit and say that and to criticise, but that's what I feel we are missing. And
yeah,
I don't think Southgate will stay on after this. It's quite clear he won't. But it'd be interesting to see whether they go back to a foreign manager, because they've never really succeeded for England,
yeah,
or whether they find someone domestically. But
yeah.
they need someone. I mean, I actually think Sam Allardyce would not have done a bad job. He was England manager, wasn't he, before
It was,
Southgate?
yeah, yeah,
And then he went and he did a talk somewhere for about £400,000 without telling the FA, his employers, and they booted him out very
yeah,
quickly. But
yeah,
I think he would be a good England manager. I do.
yeah,
He's respected by the players. He's got good ideas. So I think I might go for him if I were in charge of the FA.
yeah,
But time will tell.
yeah. Do you think our goalkeeper has actually had any true test of, because it's it,
No,
we've
no,
not.
he's not had to make many saves, has
No,
he?
it's not. It's
Really?
not hard to. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it is. It shows there's not been too much happening in that area of the pitch.
Yeah,
I heard the commentator say yesterday that one of the other goalkeepers, Ramsdale, is
yeah,
the Ramsdale and then Henderson from Palace, of course. But during the match, he was saying, "Oh, Ramsdale is shouting to Pickford, the goalie, trying to calm him down," which I thought was quite an interesting thing to say. It was during the match, during a run of play, and obviously Pickford was sort of losing it in some way with the team. I know he's a fiery chap, and
yeah.
he's a fiery guy, and he's a good goalkeeper,
He's a good
very good
goal. Yeah,
goalkeeper, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I would always put him in
yeah.
as a good goalie. But yeah, you're right. He's not been tested, has he?
He's not been tested at all. I mean,
No.
during the match against Denmark, he did make he did make a save over the one that went over the
Yeah,
bar.
with the bar.
He
Yeah.
tipped over the bar. But I think that's the only save that I've seen that seemed to
Mm.
have tested his ability really. Um, but then that's a good thing, isn't it? Because it
It
then
is.
means that the
Yeah.
defense is not doing such a bad job
Yeah.
of getting the ball out of the goal area. Yeah. So, Trevor, whoever we get to play next,
We'll discuss
I
that next week
I hope
on the podcast.
I hope we get to jump. I hope we really, really get to scream and jump. Come back on this next podcast and go, wasn't that a beautiful game? And
I
just,
might have to dig out my flag, my England flag,
oh
if we win on
yes,
Sunday.
yes, yes,
I'll
Trevor.
drape myself in it. If you could try and
Yeah,
stay awake next week, that would be
I
good at the
will. I
beginning.
will do. You can tell,
Have a
can't
good
you?
kip during the morning.
I'm forgetting names. I'm like, oh yeah, what's that? What did you play?
Yeah, you said Joe Cole, I think, at one
I
stage.
know I didn't say Joe Cole. Joe Cole said years ago. Yeah,
It
man.
was years ago.
It was years
I
ago. Yeah.
I
It was cool.
rescued you though, didn't
Yeah.
I?
It was Cole Palmer. Yeah, so what nice podcast we've had today, Trevor. We've had a really
Yes,
beautiful
we have.
podcast dissecting the England team and putting it back together like we should.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed they do the
Yes,
business, because it'll
yes,
be good if
yes.
we progress. Really
It
will.
will be. It will be. Yeah. So on that note, Trevor, we'll bring the show to a close.
Yeah.
So you've been watching the football referee. I am Emmy Hikins, and
And I am Cuz Trevor Gear.
I'm Brown. I'm Brown Emmy Hikins. Yeah. So join us again for another